Chapter 2407, Within a Day 1. Boom! The bone scimitar streaked like a black lightning bolt splitting the heavens, slashing viciously toward Zhang Yi's head. In that instant, the entire valley trembled, as if the night itself were collapsing. However, clang! The sword's light was once again swallowed whole. Zhang Yi remained utterly still. Everything under heaven surrounding him merely rippled outward in concentric waves, completely nullifying that earth-shattering strike. How is this possible? Feng Yu's voice cracked hoarsely, despair finally creeping into his eyes. His ability index wasn't that far behind Zhang Yi's. Yet his attacks crumbled against Zhang Yi's defenses like child's play. Was there truly not a single opening? Little did he know Zhang Yi had prioritized defense in his stat allocation. He faced countless opponents he couldn't defeat, yet those who could breach his defenses and draw blood were exceedingly rare. Finished showing off? Now it's my turn to strike back. Zhang Yi raised his right hand lightly. In front of the Night Witch, he still held back. Otherwise, he would have finished Feng Yu in a single move long ago. Even so, a slight movement of his right hand sufficed. In the void, the string-formed space where Feng Yu stood collapsed along a single line. Splash! Thicknessless space was torn away, carving a massive gash directly through Feng Yu's body. Originating from his abdomen, it nearly slashed him in two at the waist. But because Zhang Yi held back, Feng Yu wasn't killed. Still, the wound on his abdomen remained terrifying. Blood gushed forth as Feng Yu's body began to sway. His pupils suddenly contracted, unable to comprehend how this injury had appeared. The wound's bizarre origin made him suspect he'd been struck by the opponent's law of cause and effect attack. Blood gushed relentlessly. Gritting his teeth against the agony, he clutched his waist with one hand yet still reached for his sword again. Feng Yu, enough! At that moment, a pair of slender hands suddenly seized his blood-stained wrist. Meteor, tears streaming down her face, desperately pulled him back, refusing to let him continue sacrificing his life. Her voice trembled, yet held unwavering resolve, "If you keep this up, you'll die. You've already given everything you have. Enough. I beg you. Please. Don't do this anymore." Feng Yu's body stiffened, the white bone scimitar in his hand trembling violently. His gaze fought, a mix of madness and refusal, but finally crumbled in the face of Meteor's tears. "I just wanted to protect you." His voice was hoarse and low. The curved scimitar finally slipped from his grasp, plunging hard into the ground. The eternal dark moon, behind him shattered with a boom, scattering into countless fragments of black light that dissipated into the air. Feng Yu's body swayed, then collapsed to his knees. His breath came in ragged gasps, his face streaked with a mix of blood and tears. The injury was too horrific. He knew it himself, he had no chance left to defeat Zhang Yi. The moonlit valley fell silent for a moment. The Night Witch watched this scene quietly, a complex expression flickering in her eyes, yet she said nothing. Zhang Yi withdrew his gaze, hands clasped behind his back, leaving only a detached whisper, "Sometimes, it's not a lack of strength, but a mistake in direction." His figure stood starkly cold against the black mist. But Feng Yu could no longer hear. He merely clung desperately to Meteor, burying his face in her shoulder like a helpless child. The valley air hung heavy and oppressive. Night shrouded the land, making even breathing feel difficult. Within shadow space, Zhou Qi and the others watched this scene, the embracing lunar couple, tears glistening in their eyes. Such a moving sight. If it weren't for saving humanity's fate, I truly wouldn't want to do such cruel things. Zhou Qi wiped the tears from her eyes and sighed helplessly. Who was truly at fault in this matter? Meteor and Feng Yu were not at fault, yet neither were Zhang Yi and the human coalition forces who had come here, risking their lives to fight to this point. It was simply that this world was so cruel. Fatty Su wept uncontrollably, waving his hand. "They're suffering too much. I can't bear to watch. Take them away quickly." Li Yanyan embraced him comfortingly. "It's okay. Just close your eyes and you won't see it." Professor Da Vinci pursed his lips, utterly disinterested in this display of sentimentality. Are you done fighting? Let's head back early, there are still matters awaiting our attention. Uncle Yu, clad in heavy armor, looked at Professor Da Vinci. Professor, what do you mean? Professor Da Vinci's dead fish eyes shifted. What else could it be? If someone doesn't want us to bring the fire seed back, then there must be even bigger trouble waiting for us. Uncle Yu's expression also turned serious. No matter what situation we face, we won't back down. He looked at his mechanical arm and said in a deep voice, I also want to test my current strength in a major battle. With each successive upgrade to his demon god armor, Uncle Yu's true combat prowess had already approached that of a white bishop. However, Zhang Yi's growth had been so rapid that in smaller-scale engagements, neither he nor Liang Yu or Flower had found an opportunity to intervene. For now, they could only sharpen their weapons and prepare their horses, biding their time. Feng De knelt on the ground, his hands drenched in blood. Zhang Yi had ceased his attack, and Feng De clenched his muscles tightly to temporarily stem the flow. But continuing the fight was absolutely impossible. His fingertips dug into the dirt, his eyes flickering with unwillingness and agony. Meteor's hand rested gently on his shoulder, tender yet firm. Enough, Fenggu. Her voice was low, tinged with tears yet still gentle. Stop fighting so desperately. I don't want to see you die. Fenggu shook his head, his jaw clenching so hard it cracked. His gaze fixed on Zhang Yi, as if he were the very source of all fate. No. I refuse to accept this. Meteor has only just regained her sight. She's only just begun to see this world. Why? Why must she still die? His voice was hoarse, tinged with the metallic tang of blood, a roar erupting from the depths of his shattered chest. Hearing these words, tears finally spilled down Meteor's cheeks. She slowly turned to face Zhang Yi. My friend from Earth. For the first time, she addressed him thus, her voice carrying both pleading and resolve. I know you intend to take me away. I know destiny has paved the way. But could you grant me one day? Zhang Yi's brow twitched slightly. His gaze grew profound as he silently studied her. One day? Meteor nodded, tears welling in her eyes. Her slightly trembling lips parted softly. Yes, one day. I want to truly see this world. I want to see the mountains and rivers, the stars, the blooming flowers, the flowing rivers. Even if it's only one day, I want to remember the beauty of this world with my own eyes. Chapter 2408, Within a Day 2. Meteor's voice grew fainter, yet each syllable struck hearts like a heavy hammer. Please, promise me? I swear, after seeing the true face of this world for just one day, I'll obediently return with you. A brief silence fell over the valley. Fengde raised his head, a last flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. Blood tears dripped from his chin, yet no words came. Even if fate could not be altered, he would at least secure a fleeting moment for Meteor. Meteor, her very name embodied her destiny. Like a blossom in full bloom, her beauty lasted but an instant, as fleeting as a meteor streaking across the sky. Zhang Yi stood silently, lost in thought. After a long while, he nodded slowly. All right. I agree. With matters thus settled, the night which no longer protected Fenggu and Meteor. Everything had reached its final chapter. As long as they remained on this moon, there was no escape. It sounded rather grim, but there was no other way. Zhang Yi felt a flicker of sympathy for them, yet it wouldn't alter his purpose. Consider it a good deed. Meteor froze, light glistening through her tears as a long-lost smile spread across her face. Zhang Yi's gaze was serene, his voice low yet firm, but we will accompany you. The world you wish to see, we will see with you. Tears finally spilled from Meteor's eyes. She clung tightly to Fenggu, her body trembling with emotional collapse. Fenggu's arms slowly lifted, embracing her back with cautious care, as if terrified of losing everything before him. The night which had watched silently all along, an indescribable expression flickering across her face. Her eyes held both pity and sorrow. Zhang Yi suddenly turned his head, fixing his gaze on the Night Witch as he spoke slowly. You were once the first Dark Moon Priestess. May I ask why you abandoned that identity to come here alone? The Night Witch's eyes fluttered slightly. After a long moment, she murmured, because I saw the future. Her voice carried a deep sigh, as if the very air itself had grown heavy. I saw an unstoppable fate. Samuel would one day break free from his seal. Both the Brilliant Moon Empire and the Dark Moon Empire would crumble to ruins in that moment. All the sacrifices, all the efforts, all the blood would become nothingness. She lifted her head, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon, as if piercing through time and space to witness the approaching catastrophe. I once thought that by renouncing my priesthood and hiding deep within this dark sun forest, I might forget those omens. But now it seems escape is impossible. The wheel of fate rolls relentlessly forward, crushing everything in its path. Her voice grew hoarse with emotion, yet remained calm. Zhang Yi's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of coldness passing through his eyes, but he asked no further questions. He knew some things need not be fully revealed just yet. They had sealed Mammon. But according to the Dragon Clan, it merely delayed Mammon's escape by a century or two. The 7 great demon gods breaking free from their seals was inevitable. Even the Yihan tribe could not utterly destroy them. Thus, the Night Witch realized that even their aeons of guardianship could not permanently seal Samuel. The Drucker Titans could devour all within the physical world. The power of the seal was like adding fuel to the fire, constantly intensifying, only to be perpetually consumed by the Drucker. So with each break of the seal, the Drucker grew ever more formidable. This is a world destined for eventual destruction. The Night Witch witnessed the final chapter of despair and collapsed. But Zhang Yi harbors no such tedious thoughts. 200 years? 300? Will his life even last that long? It should be fine. As Zhou Qir's abilities grow stronger, Zhang Yi and the others' biological structures are gradually being optimized. Telomere lengthening, enhanced cellular vitality, one day, they might even achieve immortality like the Yihan tribe. Clinging to life is still living. Why be so pessimistic? This world has never truly ended, survivors have endured through every age. If the world must perish, Zhang Yi would simply take his companions to some hidden paradise and carry on. Zhang Yi glanced at the young couple embracing before him, choosing not to disturb their tender moment. Lancelot frowned, murmuring, "How long do they plan to stay like that?" King Arthur shot him a look. "It won't hurt to wait. Let them savor this rare moment of freedom." As night deepened, footsteps echoed from the valley entrance. A familiar figure entered, accompanied by 2 others. King Arthur and Saladin turned to look, surprise evident in their eyes. Survivors? As they recognized the newcomers, astonishment filled their gazes. The arrivals were none other than Gao Chang Kong, Gu Man, and Ba Tuesday. King Arthur held little impression of Gao Chang Kong. Across all of Brahma, only Emperor Indra deserved his memory. As for Gao Chang Kong, he vaguely knew him as a second-rate figure with decent abilities. But now, with Emperor Indra absent, what business did this Gao Chang Kong have here? Neither King Arthur nor Saladin paid much attention to Gao Chang Kong's affairs. Such minor figures weren't worth their attention. Yet when Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin saw Gao Chang Kong, their eyes held a deeply meaningful expression. They understood better than anyone else the level of power Gao Chang Kong had now attained. After years of biding his time, he possessed the strength to overthrow Emperor Indra and claim the top position in Brahma. "I thought you'd perished out there. Or succumbed to mental corruption, becoming dark apostles," Zhang Yi remarked with a faint smile. Gao Chang Kong's gaze swept across the valley, settling on Zhang Yi with a slight softening of expression. He chuckled lightly, "How could I die so easily? Have you forgotten I can see the future's trajectory?" Zhang Yi turned, his gaze steady, and gave a slight nod. "True enough. Your abilities are indeed formidable. And it's largely thanks to your assistance that we've made it this far." Before departure, Zhang Yi had instructed Yang Xinxin to shoot an arrow at Gao Chang Kong, triggering his ability, Reincarnation Theory. This allowed them to deduce the most probable future developments. This ability was remarkably precise. Unless encountering a more powerful time manipulator, it rarely deviated from reality. Though not as accurate as Indra's prophecies about distant futures, it still helped Zhang Yi clarify many situations here. It was Gao Changkong's ability that allowed Zhang Yi to see the truth, Xi Yuyan's death and their deliberate placement within the Dark Sun Forest. Otherwise, how could he have entered the Dark Sun Forest with such composure? A faint smile curved Gao Changkong's lips, a smile forged through war and slaughter, yet still resilient. Our goals align, so there's no need for formalities. After all, I require your assistance too. Chapter 2409, Within a Day 3. The atmosphere in the valley gradually settled. The night breeze swept through, carrying away the bloodshed and stifling air, leaving behind only an indescribable mix of oppression and hope. Fortunately, the oppression was for Fenggu. Hope and relief belonged to Zhang Yi and his companions. Their mission was complete, and since arriving in the Dark Sun Forest, Zhang Yi had gained an enormous fortune. Such a wealth of powerful origins had filled his coffers to the brim. He was more than willing to grant a favor, allowing Meteor to enjoy life one last time. After briefly explaining the current situation to Gao Changkong and the others, Gu Man's eyes flickered with a hint of sympathy, though she suppressed it instantly. Having endured 5 years of apocalyptic chaos and weathered countless hardships alongside Gao Changkong, her resolve had long been tempered like steel. She was no delicate queen. The conversation concluded, and Zhang Yi initiated the countdown, 1 day. He projected a 24-hour countdown clock onto everyone's field of vision using his smart device. Let's go. For the next period, we'll ensure no one disturbs you. Enjoy your private space together. Zhang Yi stated calmly. Fenggu clenched his fists, his eyes flickering with reluctance. But Meteor wiped away his tears and shook her head at him. Accept fate's arrangement. She only wished to cherish her final days. If Fenggu continued to resist, they wouldn't even have this last day. Gritting his teeth, Fenggu reluctantly nodded in agreement. On the path out of the Dark Sun Forest, the moonlight was cold and clear. The night seemed to have shed the scent of blood and war, yet it still hung heavy with an oppressive weight. Meteor walked side by side with Fenggu. The girl's eyes, restored to their light by the Night Witch's spell, were wide open now, filled with wonder and longing. Fenggu, however, kept his head bowed. His black cloak shrouded his form, and the deep-seated inferiority within him remained unshaken. Zhang Yi and the others followed at a distance. He engaged Gao Changkong and the others in casual conversation. Is Emperor Indra dead? Zhang Yi cut straight to the chase. Gao Changkong's eyebrow arched slightly before he sighed regretfully. So close. I had it all planned out, but that bastard's abilities. He's just too damn hard to kill. Emperor Indra's ability index wasn't exceptionally high. Outside the realm of Brahma, without the boost of the power of faith, his combat prowess would only rank as second-rate in the human world. Yet, he possessed an extraordinary will to survive. As a natural prophet, his abilities allowed him to glimpse the path ahead, enabling him to consistently choose the safer route. He was also one of the few opponents who had survived a direct confrontation with Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi knew full well that Gao Changkong would eventually rebel. He was merely using Brahma as a stepping stone. And one day, when his power grew strong enough, he would certainly return to seek vengeance against Zhu Zheng and the others. That had become an obsession fueling his very survival. If Emperor Indra isn't dead, then you won't be able to stay in Brahma much longer. What are your plans? Gao Changkong stared at Zhang Yi, asking in a joking tone, how about I return to Huashu Kingdom? What do you think? The words had barely left his mouth when he felt Zhang Yi's piercing glare land on him. Return to Huashu Kingdom? Are you serious? Returning to kill Zhu Zheng? Gao Changkong lowered his eyelids, his voice turning cold. Is he that important to you? Of course, it's not important. Zhang Yi replied without hesitation. But why should I trust you? You're too slick, too slippery. You'll stop at nothing to achieve your goals. If you return to Huashu Kingdom, back to the Jiangnan region, I wouldn't feel at ease having someone as scheming as you by my side. Gao Changkong fell silent. He walked shoulder to shoulder with Zhang Yi, head bowed, lost in thought. Zhang Yi didn't know which chord his words had struck, but he couldn't be bothered to ask. After a long while, Gao Changkong suddenly spoke, "Do you think I want this?" His voice carried resentment and resistance. Zhang Yi saw the intense, burning resentment in his eyes. "I was once a renowned basketball star. I had the adoration of the masses, a wonderful family. But if one day, you were to witness, just as I did, your own family and friends being killed right before your eyes, and you were powerless to stop it. Zhang Yi, answer me. Could you forgive those who harmed you and your loved ones? Could you? Could you?" Gao Changkong's voice grew increasingly agitated, sounding like both an accusation and a venting of pent-up fury. 5 years. 5 years after the apocalypse. He had always appeared as a cunning tyrant, whether in the Jiangnan region or later, fleeing to Brahma, he had been masking his true self. To avoid revealing any weakness, to conceal any vulnerability, he had buried every fragile part of his heart. Only in front of Zhang Yi, a man who knew him intimately and was even stronger than he, could Gao Changkong show his true nature. Or perhaps he knew Zhang Yi was cut from the same cloth. Zhang Yi replied flatly, "Of course not. I'd be far more ruthless than you." But Zhang Yi shrugged. "Then again, I have no interest in empathizing with anyone. I won't alter my stance out of sympathy for anyone. Because I only care about myself and those close to me. People always let their asses dictate their heads, don't they?" Gao Changkong slowly regained his composure. He lifted his head to gaze at the sky. "You're right. People only need to consider themselves. Who would empathize with others? So, I'll keep doing things my way." Gao Changkong smiled at Zhang Yi. "Those old fools in the Jiangnan region, every single one involved in killing my parents, I'll slaughter them all someday. Do as you please. What's it to me?" Zhang Yi dismissed the threat with indifference. "But if you dare invade my territory without my approval," his gaze sharpened to a dangerous edge. "You'll learn just how fierce the territorial instincts of the king of beasts can be." Gao Changkong drew a deep breath. Right now, he truly lacked the capital to challenge Zhang Yi. "Fine, we'll see how this plays out. But Zhang Yi, I never wish to be your enemy. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Zhang Yi chuckled dismissively. Their group reached the edge of the dark sun forest. As the shadows of the woods gradually thinned, Zhang Yi suddenly halted, his brow furrowing. An eerie aura permeated the air, the extreme fluctuations of mental pollution spreading. Following the scent, they discovered a dying figure by the shore of a dried-up lake. "That's General Gucheng," Morgan exclaimed.